You know, upon first meeting me, a lot of people seem to think that I have traveled back from some sort of unknown future populated by nothing but advanced supermen. Most of this, I believe, has to do with my entrepreneurial foresight. Did you know that I was the first guy to open an oyster shop in Provo, Utah? It ain't there no more, but, well, anyway, I digress, which means I get back on track. I think that word always kind of confused me. I regress a lot, but I don't digress very much of the time, and that might be part of the problem. Anyway, the boys are going to be talking about a little movie called Primer, which reminds me I gotta go paint my garage and my neighbor's garage, 'cause that's part of the deal for him not calling the cops on me. Take care.
Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi.
The words. You know we're gonna get flack for this already.
Did you already started recording?
I had to.
We're definitely going to get flack for this.
This was too good. It was too good to not pick up.
What? We're just talking about how the producer doesn't like how we sound. That's recordable?
Do you have any idea how many hidden microphones are in this place? He wants everything.
Do you think maybe that's the echo he's getting?
I think Vic is making his own podcast called Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi. And he thinks this is like a multi-million-dollar idea, like that I'm going to come at it, you know what it sounds, I'm going to come at it from the point of view of like the fly on the wall with a extremely popular science fiction by busy dads podcast being recorded, and the world is going to be my oyster. He says that all the time. The world is going to be my oyster.
And he likes oysters a lot, so I mean, I get it.
I can't stand them.
I like them.
Are we talking about Vic or oysters?
Oysters.
Okay.
Vic's oysters.
Vic's oysters.
Yeah. Which he calls Wisconsin County meatballs, which that's
no, yeah, I mean, no? You know, that was the name of his old restaurant. Too. It was on the PCH right past Moonshadow was Vic's Oysters. Not a lot of people remember that. But
Do you know who really digs Moonshadows?
Patrick Rothfuss?
Mad Max. Yeah, actually, yeah. Mel Gibson and Patrick Rothfuss get really loaded at Moonshadows. Mm-hmm.
Is that maybe that was the cusp of that whole issue, is the cop had called him Mad Max. You know, hey,
is that really?
Hey, Mad Max, get out of the car.
That thing is not Gropes. Or Goose. Sorry, that thing is not Goose. Sir?
Sir.
Is that a mimosa in between your legs?
And several empty glasses, clearly stolen from Moonshadow.
He must have.
I went there to watch the whales get birth. Not birth. What is it called when they come out of the water? Breach.
Jumping.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Whales.
So welcome to Busy Dads Do Whales.
Whales. Vic called me and he said, look, you guys get that shit worked out on the sound. I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan, he says. And everyone sounds like they're in a tin can right now, but could you spice it up?
He said spice it up.
Yeah. Which I'm like, are we still talking about the sound? So I think Vic's been hanging out at Moonshadows.
You never know with that guy.
With the King of the Jews.
You know, he that's a Passion of the Christ reference in case anybody thinks Kevin has gone off his rocker. It's a
Wasn't Mel Gibson like claiming that in
very
the
popular movie
pullover?
that Mel Gibson made. And
Did he play Jesus Christ?
No, he didn't. He Jim Caviezel played Jesus Christ.
I don't care anymore. Really.
Yeah.
What about? Did he play Apocalyptico?
No.
But he did play a Braveheart, right?
Wasn't even a character in the movie. Like Apocalyptico, what are you doing here?
Apocalyptico.
Braveheart. Braveheart, will we ever be free?
Yes. Apocalyptico. Is that you selling flowers? Yeah.
You know what's amazing about all what's amazing about all those movies is and it's kind of one of Mel Gibson's big MOs is he doesn't really so much deal with the current era. He likes to go back into the past. Kevin.
Does he?
He does. So you could say that, he starts at there's a point A, which is the movie that he wants to make, that era. There's a point B, which is our current time. And he sort of, through his imagination, hops in at B and then pops out at A. And then what we usually get with Mel Gibson, to his credit, is some pretty good character-driven drama.
Are they?
Yeah, fine. Like Braveheart, Patriot, those were solid. I mean, I can't say Passion. I didn't enjoy Passion of the Christ whatsoever.
Yeah,
but Braveheart was a good movie.
Passion of the Christ is his attempt to not burn in hell.
All of ours, yeah.
Just him.
For his,
he's an egomaniac. Aren't they all literally like one dude running in the middle of the poster? It's all just the same fucking movie.
Not so much Passion of the Christ.
Well.
I missed that scene.
That's a big cross to bear.
Vic is gonna. Have you seen the size of the rosary around Vic's neck? It's huge.
When I first met him, I thought he was a manager at Trader Joe's.
He's always. I believe he was. That was after Vic's Oysters closed down. He had a couple of rough years, so he had to pick up some side work. Now he's a successful producer of podcasts such as this one. So that's what we get. So I mean, what I was trying to say was earlier when I was speaking in a very, very directed way, you could say maybe even hinting at something. There are moments in time that exist. And, some people like to believe that maybe traveling between those moments is sort of possible. It's something that you'd have to kind of get ready for. You'd have to really amp yourself up. You'd have to sort of get in the zone for it. This garage, it needs a new coat of paint, but before I put the paint on, I should probably put something else on before that paint. Yeah.
Painting clothes. You need to put clothes on.
I should put
you look
clothes
like a
on.
painter.
I've had multiple conversations with HR about this.
Paint. You painting naked again in there? Nope. Hold on. Give me 5.
I love it. You do. You can't nail me down like Passion of the Christ.
Yep. There's always a little smear at about 42 inches, just the whole length of the wall.
Oh, you're giving me way too much.
To right.
Way too much credit there.
What?
Way too much credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the assumption that
42 inches is about the height of a waist. Actually, that's like a chest.
That's a chest. So.
Well, hello.
Hello there.
Good morning.
Oh. Looks like I can leave my brushes at home today, Mrs. Finnegan. And who is that? Who is Mrs. Finnegan?
You know what?
Before you put the paint on, Kevin, you got to prep it. You got to coat it with something else. Otherwise, you're going to get the old paint is coming through the new paint.
You're talking about a preemptive layer of paint, I think is what they call that.
Essentially. No, not essentially. very specifically, that is what I'm talking about. That there is and there's a name for that coat of paint. That name, listener, singular, if you're going to understand what we're talking about today, because we don't understand what we're talking about today.
No way.
Nobody.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it.
We're sort of beating around the bush here in a very, very roundabout way because we are terrified to create this podcast with this subject matter. I need some primer, Kevin.
Oh. Oh.
We gotta just rip the Band-Aid off, man, and get in there. This is like Normandy.
Which is so I kind of was thinking about why you would name this Primer. Why is it named Primer, George?
The thing you do before the thing you do?
No.
No?
Why is this? Well, the thing you do before the thing you do. Okay, so in other words, you think The Machine is the title of the movie, and it might be called The Primer?
Yeah, like that was kind of where I went with it, but I was also just. So I mean, they're engineers, they are scientists, they are dealing with things that they don't. So what other what other popular usages of the word primer? Like, is there a mechanical term?
Well, you need a primer on like something before you learn, like a primer on the fundamentals of flying a plane. Isn't that a use of it? So
what if this movie in and of itself, from A to B, is a primer
on time travel?
Yeah. This is here you go. It would probably have helped the characters in this movie to have watched this movie before going about the actions that they took. So here it is. Here's your journal of time travel, and really, really dead on. Like, there are times where I felt like I could have been reading a technical manual on what to do and what not to do as far as time travel goes.
Well, yeah, but again, this is the second time I've seen this movie, and you and I really like Shane Carruthers, right? Is it Shane?
It's Shane Carruthers,
who did Upstream Color, and
I think it's just Carruth.
Oh, well, okay,
yeah.
Well, great. We better get his name right because we got to turn this podcast into a petition for him to become our friend.
Well, I hang out with Shane all the time.
Oh, it's Shane Carruth, right?
It's Shane Carruth. Point B, Shane. Not point A, Shane. He's way too big for me. But like Shane Zero from, back before he was Shane. That's the Shane I hang out with.
Well, you got one Shane, you've seen them all.
That's true. 42 inches. 42 inches. Let's keep it level, Kevin. All right. Let's just move along the wall at 42 inches and spread that primer. So yeah, like you were saying.
Did you ever see Shake? Hold on one sec. Did you ever see Shakes the Clown?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you remember the peanut butter joke?
Don't. No.
Oh, no. Brown, creamy, and easy to spread.
The Bobcat Goldthwait?
It's the lady in the bar.
The lady in the bar, yeah.
He says she's got a peanut butter. And he goes, what? And she goes, yeah.
I do very vividly remember the lady in the bar, the older black woman in clown makeup. Who's like, there's this panel of old, gross, retired alcoholic clowns in that movie. Yeah. That was, Julie Brown.
So speaking of spreading the primer, Julie Brown, yeah. That cute speech impediment.
Yeah.
Sexy speech impediment.
She was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably made up. So, but Shane Carruth,
We need to make. He needs to make more movies.
Right.
Guy.
We dig him. So watching this for a second time, it was really cool to just be like, that's why. It is the strangest thing. Call it a handbook of what not to do when you invent a time machine. But all along the way, it's a fiction piece. And there's so many neat things that are dropped in to make this an interesting story. What I love the most is this movie was made for $7,000, I believe.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Like literally, like I think his mom and dad catered it. You know, there are people with his last name in the credits. And these dudes, I mean, they created a real thing. I mean, we start with a group of 4 dudes who have decided to take turns with their invention and run with it, try and get it patented. They've got a little software business on the side, and they do this, and they're hardworking dudes, like 2-hour lunches, running away from their regular jobs to try and get something done out of a garage.
It's a pretty typical, like it seems like a typical kind of bubble. Like 4 geniuses are trying to get like the next big thing. At the same time, they're selling circuit boards to hackers and stuff, trying to piece together different relationship styles. One's got a girlfriend, one's married. They're trying to get this one dude who's the father of one of their girlfriends to invest in their company. And they're just kind of plugging along, this guy, Granger.
And they're well equipped for the job. I mean, they're probably the guys who should make a time machine. However, they're not trying to make a time machine. They're messing with something on an energy field. And it's great because you believe they would know how to come up with what they're inventing. But at the same time, as we see deeper into the plot, there is no primer on time travel. And there becomes some stuff where they are stumped on and they don't know what's going to happen. I'll just jump ahead real quick, that their handwriting is affected, perhaps, by time travel.
There's and more than a physical thing.
You taking notes, and it looks like if you were writing with your other hand.
Yeah.
And these are the details, which is why I like a Shane Carruth movie.
And more than a physical thing, they talk about how they can see the letters, but they just can't make them come out. There's a theory that maybe there's a point early in the movie where they put their hands into the field before they actually physically time travel themselves. And there's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but not much because the movie's about time travel. But the theory is that perhaps their hands, because they enter that field, are mere seconds ahead of the rest of their body. So they're incapable of keeping up with the mind and everything. So their hands exist in a point of time that they don't exist in. And we had decided that probably one of the biggest disservices we could do to this movie is sit here and try and explain what becomes of this. I will simply say that the movie does not spoon feed in any way. It does not slow down. Though at the same time, I don't know if it's terribly hard to follow. I find that they have done something a little joyful here in that Shane Carruthers believes people will be interested enough in this movie to watch it again and try and piece the things together. So it's almost one of those movies, like I walked away from not going, oh, I got to watch that again. It was more like I get to watch that again. I get to figure out what all these pieces are, because as we move through, as they discover they have accidentally stumbled upon time travel, and the way in which they come to this realization is it's cool and original. The protein on the little dot piece of plastic that they have in there has grown over several days.
It has several years of growth.
Several years, right, of growth of fungus.
And, one of my favorite is when that detail comes out, it's Abe, one of the inventors, has figured out that this is probably a time machine. And he takes Aaron, his buddy, through all the stops he made to figure it out. And so Abe takes Aaron to a scientist, and you see him before they go in the door, goes, just, hey, man, try and be kind of a little cool. He already thinks this is a joke. Okay. And he walks in and he goes, okay, will you just pretend that you're telling this to me for the first time? What is this? What is this? He's like, this is the common fungus. This is the reason you don't leave wet towels in your closets, man. It's everywhere. And he goes, okay. And so the amount of fungus on this piece I brought into you, how long would it take to grow? It's like 5 years of growth of this fungus that the scientist says that's impossible. If you said you've had this in a closet or a machine for 1 minute, there's no way it could happen. And so the power of what they have in their hands gets released by those reveals. I think those are great moments, man.
And it's a bit of a microcosm of the movie himself, because we have the first scene in which Abe and Aaron are our main characters, and they are essentially the travelers. Now, we get the first scene in which Abe is experiencing something to Aaron because he wants Aaron to go through the same motions that he did, to prove to him, this is what I discovered. We've got the first scene in which, like, they're going through something again that they've already gone through. And that's something that is common in the time travel style in this movie. To quickly sum up that style, which I think is probably just the most important part, without getting super, super technical, essentially you've got a point A and a point B. So you turn the time machine on at 9 o'clock in the morning and you get in at 6 o'clock at night. You can travel back to when the time machine was turned on. Now, what's happened in that day is you have experienced everything that's happened in that day. So you can go back and relive that entire day with the knowledge of everything that you had. But they go about it a very cool way because they're inventors and because they're scientists. They remove themselves from the equation by sequestering themselves in a hotel, turning off all TVs, all phones, everything, because they're terrified of what could possibly happen. You know, you've got essentially, as you travel back in time to 9 o'clock in the morning, you now have two versions of yourself, one living in a hotel that has experienced the day, and the other one with that knowledge. You know, even the little explaining I just did has crossed my eyes, you know?
Yeah. So there's like similar to Dark, as we trod down this road of time travel that we're going to do. It's kind of like, who gives a hoot? It's good to watch. Like, I'm already the stumped scientist who's like, it would take 5 years to grow this much of this protein. I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. There's a scene when Abe breaks the news, and that same day he brings them to a field, and in the background you see a storage center. And he says, the next thing I'm going to show you, man, I'm going to show you this, Aaron. It's not a joke. No one's pranking you right now. But he talks about, where are we going to put this box we built? We need a safer place so no one stumbles upon it. And before you've seen the whole shot of the storage, short-term storage place, Abe really quickly says, yeah, and it would need to be climate controlled. And Abe, you realize, has already been there. And it's so, in this 2 words, just tips off, again, the fact that this thing is unreliable. It's corrupt from the get-go. In this first expose of Abe has discovered it's a time traveler, you come to find that that's not even the first time it's happened.
Right. So initially, what we believe is Abe giving the narrative to Aaron and breaking down for him exactly how this is going to work. I mean, just to kind of fold the whole movie into itself, that version of Aaron already knows all this already, because he has gone back to before any of this has happened, and is, you know, there's brilliant reveals where we see that Aaron has been scribbling notes and recording conversations this whole time. He has an earpiece in, so he is listening to real-time recordings of everything that has already happened, and both reacting as he should and also modifying it to get his desired outcome. And that in and of itself, what's amazing is that what's amazing about this movie is the time travel aspect of it is handled so well. At one point, when Abe is questioned about why he sequestered himself in a hotel, he says, look, if we're dealing with causality here, and that sort of is enough to go, these guys know what they're doing to a degree. They know I can't just travel back in the past and then be in a room with myself or go to work and have conversations with something. I don't know what the hell that's going to cause, what that might do to the very fabric of time and space, let alone my personal relationships. So we've got from the get-go, an unreliable narrator. We've got from the get-go, this whole movie, this whole primer has been corrupted to suit Aaron's point of view on what he wants. Out of the two, he certainly comes across as a little bit of the more, he's got machinations. Like he's got a bit more of an agenda, not necessarily nefarious, although it kind of gets there, you know? So yeah, I'd say the only problem I had in any way, shape, or form with this movie is some of the motivations of the characters, because like, and even that can be explained, wiped away by the idea of time travel. You know, like we have no idea how many times Aaron has actually made these trips.
Well, and I'm going to keep talking about the things in between that make me really dig this movie. And when you have to sequester yourself to go witness the stock market that day, so that you can then go at 3 p.m. back into 9 a.m. and trade on those stocks, you got to do things like call in sick. And there's kind of a hustle. There's an illusion of them getting used to 36-hour days. And what I really dug is like, I just kind of imagined myself, like, could you imagine just trying to pull this off without the worry of causality or anything, just being like, I got to call in sick again. The wife calls at one point because the dude doesn't turn on his forgets to leave his cell phone behind. But even just skirting the issues of wife calls, there's like a very, very normal things. You know, they're living a secret, but it's not like, you know, having an affair or something. It's we're time traveling.
Yeah, right.
And it's very cool. Like they have to hole up. There's a montage where they like playing Scrabble and just bored in the hotel room and eating food.
And they slip, you know, like they certainly, they slip a bit with like, you know, he brings a phone into their whole sequestered thing. And then we see that same scene from the point of view of their time traveled alternate, where like his phone rings, but initially it rang in the hotel room and now it's ringing here. And it's like, oh no, we just inadvertently changed something, you know, without even realizing that we did. The phone is ringing here. There's two of these phones in existence at the same time. And now it's ringing here when initially it rang there. And what the hell did that just do? And they even look at each other and they're like, how do you feel? You know, it's like, I feel okay. Well, you know?
And so for motivations, this just dawned on me. I think that if you were in this situation, nefarious, you use the word, I think real quick you'd be doing a cost-benefit analysis on how to act. And so I think regular old dudes who we might not believe would have to consider taking one of their doubles out, the ultimate, or leaving your family, are faced within a week between a cycle of Monday to Friday. I think they get crushed, or Aaron gets crushed into some real moral crises. And so I think I can believe the motives. I mean, who knows how weird you get? Because once you start, you know, do you kill one or two people to try and get time back together. It's dark.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's dark again, right?
This is the cool thing is like, so I use the term nefarious, but what nefarious implies is like the actual actions of that are, I am going back in time to take myself, an earlier version of myself, out of the equation. So it's seemingly innocuous because it's myself that I am drugging and hiding. And I'm doing this so that I can heroically stop a guy at a party with a shotgun, because that is a scene that happens in this movie. Like it seems like Aaron always wants this to go a little bit better, like he always wants to kind of get this thing a little bit better for whatever reason. Like maybe there's another desired effect. There's a relationship between this guy Granger and that guy with the shotgun due to his daughter. Like there's all these things that go into that. Maybe it's just he wants to get it perfect, and I could see that. So it's like the nefariousness is actually like I'm just trying to do things right now. I'm trying to set this as right as I possibly can.
Exactly. So if you have a shortcoming, right? If you fall a little short in areas of your life, in the regular day-to-day life on a planet, maybe these things aren't amplified. Add time travel in, and your will to keep things neat might be really messy, like
Right.
fatal.
Right. Take and add 3 of yourselves to the mix that are you're now
Well,
juggling
and that's
that,
what's so cool.
and a possibly debilitating time travel illness. What's cool about this movie is so this is how I kind of saw it. A lot of this movie takes place with 2 guys in shirts and ties talking to each other about the things that are happening, which is in contrast a bit to another Shane Carruth movie that we loved was Upstream Color. And that movie has such a small amount of expository dialogue. Like it's very, very little of it is you being told what's going on and you are being shown what's going on. And this movie has pretty much that in the same line, only there's a lot more dialogue. The thing about it is the dialogue is so smart that nothing is wasted. There's nothing. And so in a way, it almost comes across as like a little too much to take, without saying like, I never felt like, oh, wow, that was excessive, or because nothing is stopped. They don't at any point go, wait, hold on. Right now we're going to stop. And we're going to explain everything that we've done in the last half hour. It's just, here's everything that's going on. So it leads to this believability where I have these 2 guys, these 2 Texas dudes who are trying to sell software, who have accidentally discovered time travel. And because of a mix of the dialogue and their acting, I believe every single thing that has happened to them in this movie. Nothing in it is like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like really humble in a way. Like I mean, it's just amazing what this dude and the people who helped him did. So another little detail, an ear starts to bleed just a little bit. And just the way they're like, yo, dude, what is that? And you're like, what is it? And like, they've noticed it drop. Is that you bleeding? No, man. And just the way those dudes acted is totally cool.
It's great.
Because it's like taking real people and dropping them in that scene. I'm restating what you stated. It's really, really cool. By the way, who are we?
Oh my gosh, we're so many different people doing so many different things all at once somehow. I mean, we've been known to be busy Dallas dudes science factioning. Factioning.
Yes.
I mean,
who else could we be, George?
I like to think of us every now and then as bilateral dimensional dicks seeking futures. Now, that could be both time travel futures and also stock market futures.
That could be Saturday night, bro.
Oh, man, I know what you're saying. 42 inches.
Hey, it's Saturday. Just saying.
Keep it level. Hey, we never get to Saturday in this movie, do we?
We don't.
No.
We don't.
Well, these guys are at the same time like dealing. I got an image as I was watching it of what their family life must have been like, because there's at one point they do sort of come to the grips with the idea that we might have to go back and see what happens when we change something. We might have to just experiment with the idea of going back and, and it takes the shape of Aaron wanting to punch his boss in the face.
Right.
So, okay, so let's figure out a way we can do that. So if we do this, there's all these mechanics to it so that we do it, we accomplish it, and then we also undo it at the same time. And while they're in the midst of trying to do this, we get almost like a bad guy moment in the movie where this guy Granger, who is Abe's girlfriend's father, and you get a sense that maybe Abe is only with this girl so that they could get this guy Granger to invest in them. But he is following them. Aaron is like, wait, he's got like 3 days beard growth. I saw him earlier today and he was clean shaven. What the hell's going on here? And so in any other movie, this would have been a full-on, dramatic, friggin' like Daniel Day-Lewis, like someone pops in and is all of a sudden the bad guy with 3 days beard growth and is like, I'm on to exactly what you guys have been doing and everything. We don't get any of that, but we get like what in a lesser movie would have been like the bad guy who has now clearly stumbled upon their time travel, figured out how to use it, gone back himself, and is now following them. And all this stuff, things start to fall apart. And it's not until a little later that we get like the cards all on the table where Aaron reveals, yeah, dude, I've gone back they have the fail-safe machine, which exists hours before they initially time traveled. So Abe sort of knew I might need to at some point travel back before we started traveling and stop it from happening. So I've got this fail-safe machine. Yeah. Aaron found out about that and is shooting back, so I mean, the whole thing is just kind of like we said, corrupted.
Yeah. And what's totally cool is that scene, in the middle of the night, the plan to punch this boss whose name is mentioned once in a passing scene. It gets dramatic, just the way that, there's a car behind him. You don't know if it's that guy's car or not. Or maybe I couldn't tell if they were being followed, if they were circling back. And, you're just like, what the hell's going to happen here? And again, it's these dudes. There's a point when what I really liked is how Abe is definitely friends with Aaron's wife, and they all sit in kitchens together while like the wife like puts the kid to bed, and like they know each other, and just this level of like believability again that was there, so that they just, like you're Abe just trying to do your.
Abe lives with like two other dudes who like play video games, and there's this sort of like, oh yeah, that you'd have a roommate with two guys that maybe you're not super close to, and your friends aren't certainly. He says like, hey, meet me at the door, man.
Yeah. Well, but also he does something there where he rehearses what he's going to say to that dude when he passes him on the couch. He goes, hey, Brett. And then he opens his door and he walks out and says it. So I often, at that point I was like, is this an Abe that's trying to practice looking normal in front of those people? Not really ever revealed, but so to watch these dudes who were chummy and good friends get in a real situation again, where it's like, dude, what is that guy Granger doing with 3 days growth on his face? They call his house and he's in the car at the same time he's in his home answering it. And you get, again, this is the cool stuff about the Carruth effect, is like, it just pressed like the horror buttons almost. Like, well, you don't know. You know what I mean?
Do we now this is just a question. Now, when Abe does practice, hey Brett, to the guy on the couch. And this is just the kind of question that goes along with a movie like this. Is that the initial Abe, or is this now Abe? Because Abe has also used the fail-safe machine to go back.
That's what I don't know. Or
Yeah,
it's just it's character building. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just like that's the kind of guy Abe is.
Yeah.
Needs to kind of practice being polite because it's an awkward scene somehow. And
because where this ends up, essentially, the funnel point of this movie is, if there is a funnel point, is the non-time traveled versions of Abe and Aaron are, one is in an attic, one is in a bathroom, locked up by the future versions of themselves that have gone back. Now, there's 3 Aarons, one leaves, just disappears, and the end of the movie is a conversation between this future version of Aaron that has gone back and put his non-time travel version in the attic, and a future version of Abe that has gone back. So Aaron is going to leave, fly away somewhere. He can't be around anymore. And Abe is going to stick around and make sure that this version of Abe and Aaron never travel in time.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what's fucked up is that it's already happened. So they can't, even stopping them from traveling in time will not undo what has already happened. There's already these future versions of Abe and Aaron. And I love the rules of this time travel. I love how it's handled. I love how it has real world consequences and not, we're going to tear the fabric of space and time. It's like, no, you will need to leave. And because you can't be around your wife and kid as another version of yourself.
Yeah, it's like a home wrecker.
Yeah, right.
Not a universe wrecker. Yeah. It's a home wrecker.
It's a home wrecker. Like, What are you going to do? You've already drugged me and hid me in the fucking attic, you scumbag. You're not sticking around here. You're out of here. Like, at the end of the movie, Abe tells Aaron, you need to leave. You need to never come back. You need to never be around them, his wife and kid.
But they're still trying to, you realize they're great buddies. They're the tightest in that creative inventor group. And so even in that last scene, Aaron is still working on Abe.
Yeah.
They're talking about like trying to steal their passports. And so again, it's so believable. Like the genuine regular old pressure. Again, it's not Bruce Willis needing to stop a comet, but it's me and you, George, trying to figure out, like, just imagine trying to steal your passport from your house right now. Right. So you could then disappear.
With the knowledge that money would never be an issue. Like he says to him, we could have one day in Vegas and set ourselves up for the rest of our lives. We won't have to worry about money. We can just go do bigger, amazing things. Just me and you. And Abe is more of like no. I'm staying here and I'm making sure that these 2 guys never do the shit that we have done. Never get involved in this constantly, going back and forth and everything, and just live their normal lives. And this is with like some other version of Aaron too is floating around there somewhere else.
Yeah, one dude just totally out there. And and so that's it's amazing how dark like it is now that I think about it. There's just a couple other cool things. First of all, there is a party that they go to on a Monday night where a drunken ex-boyfriend brings a shotgun into the house. And this is pivotal in these guys, this exhausting effort to replicate a day's work to try and get this guy to get apprehended with a shotgun, but not so he'll come back on the Monday that they want to finally get back to and not cause real damage. So they're trying to get him to be like arrested, right? And it's really cool. There's another time when they're sitting in their house and Aaron's wife said, "Have you called the pest guys yet?" And And he looks there and Abe and says, she thinks there's rats in the attic. He's in the attic, and he's like, "It's baby birds, honey. Do you want baby birds up there?" And you realize that what that is Aaron, the first Aaron up in the attic. She's like, "It doesn't sound like birds." And then again, so then you've got, weird dude who's out of time, Mr. Granger, startling them. You've got like a telltale heart thing going on. There's all in a $7,000 like movie. It's just written so cool.
Yeah, it's got like, strangely enough, it's got all the beats of like a major sci-fi movie. But it's told in such a relatable and normal way that it comes across as just, Now the big thing with this movie is a lot of people have walked away from it going, I did not understand what was going on, and that's completely fine. That's absolutely fine. I believe that was entirely intentional on Shane Carruth's part. Like I said earlier, like his idea was you will come back and revisit it. I have every desire to like have this movie be a part. It's like a book on my shelf now, it's just something that I feel like I can think about any time and go, oh yeah. I mean, even while we were just talking, the whole Abe saying to his roommate, "Hey, Brett," and I was like, well, wait, is that a character moment, or is that, what Abe were we being treated to there? And whether or not like that was him saying, okay, well, this is when I walk out and I say, "Hey, Brett," because that's what I said last time. How many times have both of these guys gone back? Abe is, I guess you could say, is perhaps the more innocent of the two, maybe, but at the same time, he goes back and gasses a version of himself and stores himself in the closet with enough food and water to survive for an amount of time.
Because I think what this scenario does is pushes your ethics real fast, which is why I believe, your initial question is like, how would Aaron be up to no good so quick? Yeah. But I think this thing just, when you unlace and when you do a count, there's a wonderful YouTube video with illustrations, and there's 6 Aarons that are in this. And when you unravel things like that in a fictional piece, in the pressure, I believe it's proven that the pressure is there. There's a book called The Recognitions by William Gaddis. It's a 956 mid-20th century, 956 page mid-20th century piece of literature, and a ton of it. There is an 80 page Christmas party conversation with like 20 people in it, and very little plot. And you're just reading this going, what the hell? But the guy who passed it on to me said, "Hey, man, there's a website that's got the synopsis of these chapters. It really helps me because the dude's so vague." But anyways, I'm finding a great connection to the enjoyment of the piece of art that this book was. And that book, by the way, whole different world, not sci-fi at all. If you want to take a ride on an American masterpiece, go read that book. But basically, my buddy is like, it's things like that dialogue. You're doing if you're doing an 80 page party dialogue, you're either an insane or a genius. And I'd like to say that the things that are left out, their experiment in the middle of the night, which exposes Granger, is by a character whose name is mentioned once that you never see. And you just keep up with these dudes in real time, and it was not possible for me to keep these players in place. I didn't know that the machine put you back. I didn't know you had to start the machine to travel back in time. I just enjoyed what was going on, and that I think is its success. That being said, that YouTube video is really cool. It's amazing. There was also the centerpiece. Again, this movie opens with a phone call. And we've come to find that this is Aaron 2 who disappears, calling the original Aaron. And it starts in that killer dramatic thing like, You're going to listen to me.
Yeah,
You're not going to say anything. I'm going to read the letter from the start, and you're just like, what the hell is that? And of course, so there's a YouTube video where someone's taken the segments of that phone call and pieced them all together. And
but that's the type of thing that I love when fiction strains me to the point where I need to, like Alan Moore did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is essentially littered with 19th century fictional English literature references. So when I was reading it, I found I need to have Wikipedia open right next to me because they make a comment about Dodger. And I'm like, Dodger, is that fucking Dodger from Oliver Twist? And then looking that up, I love that this movie is vast enough where someone has needed to do that and gone, look, this makes it more cohesive. That speaks to art on another level to me.
Yeah. It's very good stuff. That I was reminded, I was time traveling when I read the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I was hospitalized for 2 weeks on round the clock Dilaudid. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Great experience. But George, thank you. George brought me all those to the hospital, amongst other things.
I remember the phone call where, is there more of these?
Yeah.
That was when my first encounter with the speed at which Kevin reads, particularly when he's on speed.
Yeah. And no, that's not speed. That's
not
Dilaudid.
speed. It's the exact opposite.
But whole other experience. I don't endorse that, by the way, but Western medicine's good. If you're going to die, let them give you medicine. Okay. Just going to say that. Agreed.
So these guys, they got their medicine. Old Aaron and Abe, they got the, you could certainly say that they got the consequences of their actions. Both of these people, are now leading lives that Aaron, I think, is leading a life he wants to be leading. He is, the last shot we get in this movie is Aaron in another country giving direction to foreign workers and building a huge machine.
And there's a line about the Russian space program or something. And I think he's going somewhere where maybe things are a little more relaxed.
He says they toss out the line about how NASA spent $70,000 to invent a pen that could write in space, and Russians just use a pencil.
And that's the killer dialogue. One dude's carrying a microwave. He's like, you know how they did it? A wooden pencil. And they're just talking to each other. You can tell they know each other so well. I've thought of one thing, though. Aaron, that we see at the beginning of the movie, let's assume the one who's truly Aaron, a guy who's trying to build a better business with his inventor friends. Do you think he wants to build a time machine in Russia? So to get to your question of the motives, I don't think he does.
No, I don't think he does. Yeah.
But I think again, my point will always be that when you have to scramble, I think there's by the time you're the sixth version of Aaron, you ain't going to that house. That's where Aaron Zero is. It's all, things got fucked real fast, and so I don't know, something to chew on.
That's interesting. And now it makes me want to go back and look at what clues there were, as Aaron is taking apart, Aaron wanted shortcuts, right? Aaron's taking apart the refrigerator to get the copper tubing and the Freon, and Abe is saying, no, we can just buy it. You're going to ruin the refrigerator. Aaron wanted the quicker way,
Yeah.
So there's some cool stuff even there, even when we are not treated to, and that's before the time machines existed. So it's certainly, the original Aaron. Yeah.
Well, there's a scene where Abe, again, on reveal day, when we see the scientists about the protein and we go to the climate controlled place, they're sitting in the field and they're talking, and Abe is letting Aaron know. So first of all, there's a time machine in a storage center 300 yards from them. But Abe is letting Aaron know, dude, there's so many things we can get around. like all you need is a piece that about 6 inches in diameter, and there was so much extra we can cut out, and he's having to talk to him as if he hasn't done these
As if he-
mods yet,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Yeah.
and of
It's
course,
like,
the
I've already
errors-
built these, and there's the me
yeah,
that's walking out of having traveled that, so he's doing this already with yeah, that's good stuff, man. That's
and
good
of course
stuff.
that Aaron, by the time we see him in that scene, already knows all that too. He's already got his earpiece in.
He's playing a part at that point.
So real quick, there's a movie, a time travel movie where people had to keep notes and keep doing things. What am I thinking of? Is it dark? Am I trying to? It's not dark, but
It's not dark.
I
I don't know, but we got to watch it. I think we need to take a trip on some time travel here.
We should. Listener, if you want to take a trip with us, we'll see you yesterday when next 2 weeks episodes has debuted.
Whoa, hold on. No. We're not getting in a pod with any of these people.
What? No. I
mean,
wouldn't pod with any of you people.
It's small.
Definitely wouldn't get on an airplane on
Not
Black
right
Friday.
now. Not right now, anyway. Talk to me in a couple of months, maybe.
Woo. Yeah.
So does that stand out to you at all? Do you find there's a scene when somebody is smoking a cigarette in their work shed in Primer, and they're super close, and for some reason the smoking of the cigarette and being close, like it sort of clicked in me as like oh wow, that's weird, like that would not happen right now.
Well, it didn't on that one, but I see certain things. I had a dream that I shook hands with a client of ours. And then in the dream, I was like, oh, we're not supposed to do that, but that's cool. There's hand sand right here. And, it was like we learn.
Yeah.
We learn. Yeah.
Be more careful, Kevin.
Be more.
I
know. And Dream Kevin's
messing up.
Dream Kevin's looking for a passport. He wants to
go back
to
and
Costa Rica.
Dream George is already there, I think.
Yeah. Is that how interesting you think this podcast is? He's sleeping through it, huh?
I can't see this ear. I have my earpiece in. I've done this podcast like 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah.
I'm bored to fucking tears right now.
Well, what gave it away is the naked you dragging his penis along the freshly primed wall behind you. Yeah.
That's the same as you'd always see. I mean, that's just what I do. I don't know how you spent Saturdays, you animal.
The erotic art stylings of Busy George.
Do you
He's busy.
There's a great British comedy show called Spaced, and it was Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg before they made like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and all those movies. But there's a character in it named Brian who's an artist, and he's fantastic. It's like every like over the top caricature of an artist. But at one point, like they knock on his door, he answers the door, and he's not wearing any clothes, and just like what are you doing in there? He's like, I'm trying to transmute my own humanity onto the canvas. Like, what does that look like? He goes, I'm painting with my penis. And he just goes, finally.
You've arrived.
You've arrived. At last. So, come on over. Let's
let's get painting.
Let's paint each other up.
Yeah.
And watch out for Granger, man. Anybody you see today that you see later on that's got 3 days beard growth.
And you know what? There's 2 of them, and they're drugging one of them. And maybe they've even turned the machine off while he's in it, which who knows what that does.
So it was a little right. It was I was a little vague because they've got the version of him that is comatose, and they're keeping him correctly, like they're keeping him comatose. They're
maybe
injecting
sequestered till they can send him back. But again, here we go circling back.
Right.
these dudes are at high to body status with this garage invention, which I think will push you out the other side real quick as a different person.
Right. And Aaron even mentions Abe is kind of doing the math on that one. Like you get a sense that Abe is the one who's going to be responsible. Like Abe's the thinker. Like Abe is the one who's just like, we gotta get rid of this dude, and what that might look like. So Aaron in the phone call mentions like, I know Abe has already considered the alternatives here. So there may be even like a no, he took care of that. and we see that's the scene where Abe goes back and gasses himself to try and like correct everything. So I mean, there's that Abe might be more changed than we're given. Than we're shown. Like he may have had to just like take a dude and bury him. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why you might be like, you need to leave and never come back. And forget this. I'm done. It's already so bad. And well done. So it's enough time has passed from the beginning of the podcast when we got Mr. Carruth's name wrong, but now Mr. Carruth, we're hoping that maybe we can become friends. We can hang out, maybe.
Yeah, Shane. I just want to let you know that my egg is covered with so much fungus.
No, it's your Weeble Wobble, bro.
It's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Between the primer and the fungus, you don't want to. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't claim to know what's missing from your life, Mr. Carruth, but I'm pretty sure it's a fungus and primer covered Weeble Wobble.
Yeah.
If you need some help with your next movie, I have a pitch for Primer 2, More Primed, or Prime Time.
Prime Time, yeah.
At no point did anybody in this movie turn to the camera and say, it's prime time.
Yep.
What a missed opportunity.
I know.
There was no real gunplay.
And then Mel Gibson just punches someone straight through their skull. Yeah. Oh.
Here's to the second coming.
Yep. Wow.
Oh man, Mel Gibson has taken a beating this podcast.
Yep. Well, as he should. We were there with you, Mel.
Yeah, we were along for the ride, man.
Before the fall.
Come on back. Give us a little bit more Riggs before Danny Glover dies.
Riggs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But, so listener, shoot us an email. We're at busydadsdosci-fi@gmail.com. Tell us what the hell time travel movies we should be watching here. And if you have not, pop in Primer, watch Upstream Color, find out where Shane Carruth lives, and demand that he make more movies.
Between the Primer and the Upstream Color, you might have a wonderfully decorated modern bedroom.
No, oh my gosh, you got to keep it at around 42 inches, though.
Mm-hmm.
You go lower than that,
and you're gonna have that stuff all over your face.
You're in Bobcat Goldthwait territory then.
Oh man, what's gonna happen here, man?
What I hope is gonna happen is that we're just gonna keep on talking and slowly fade into the past.
Yeah, slowly. We're going to turn into dust.
I'm waiting for the future version of me to just pop in, drug my milk, and drag me up into the attic.
I thought you'd been drugging your milk for days.
How nice would that be, huh, Kevin? Just a nice little break.
Yeah, no guilt either.
What's that? You're going to tie me up, put me in the attic, and you're going to go to my job and hang out with my family? Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh,
I'll take a fiberglass chafe for that.
And the end result is I get a ton more money in my bank account? No. Aaron 6, how could you?
Mm-hmm. Well, Better than Ralph 5 getting involved in that.
Or Leonard, part 6.
Oh boy, that was a touchy movie. Come to find out,
Because Bill Cosby was a rapist.
yes. He drugged others.
Which sounds like Shane Carruthers. All right. Good night. Good night, nurse.
Good night, Mr. Cosby.
Please don't come into my room.